Okay, great. Chapter 16, first video, groups. So, what are we saying here? I know you haven't done financial reporting, but I know definitely if you did AT level 4, or you've come through university program, you will at some point have done consolidated accounts or consolidated financial statements. And it's very possible, of course, as you imagine that you have a parent company and you have subsidiaries, right? And that's what we're really talking about here. So the argument here is that if you're in this sort of group scenario, that as long as there is a 75% relationship, 75% direct relationship, and when I say 75%, you could have a subsidiary as long as there is a 75% relationship between, if you like, the parent and that subsidiary. So, for example, I don't know, this is 100%, and this was 80%. So I'll just call this D. A has at least a 75% with D. So they could be the same, if you like, group for group loss relief, because what you need is you need to have at least a 75%. It doesn't have to be as much for chargeable gains, but we'll deal with that when we deal with gains. In terms of loss, so let me be very clear. Here I'm talking about trading losses, right? We're really talking about giving losses to each other in the group. So we're all trading, and this could be right across the country. We're trading, and we might have a loss, and we might be thinking, I might look for a way to give someone else that loss so they can use that loss, if you like, against their own trading profits. And so that's what we're really talking about here. So we're really talking about defining a 75% group and identifying who can be members of that group. So let's kick off straight away. Let's go. So we're saying that, we start off saying that we're not talking about gain groups today because we haven't really covered. This is our next topic, chargeable gains. So we're just trying to finish off the company. So here, group loss relief. So we are saying the group loss relief is available to members of the 75% group. Two companies are members of, so I'm literally going to work through every example. Two companies are members of the 75% group where one company is a 75% subsidiary of the other, or both are 75% subsidiaries of the third company. And we'll do an example in a second. So it's very much about share capital. I mean, this is not financial reporting, so you will know clearly that you own 75%. It'll be very clear. Then kind of what I said earlier on, if we're going to talk about sub-subsidiaries, then we want to be talking about an effective interest of that is greater than or equal to 75% as well. Now, this is what's interesting. You can form a group through a company that's overseas, but you can't. That overseas company can't claim or surrender losses. So, for example, I could have I think there's an example in a second, A, B, C. Now, this B could be an overseas company, and if B owned 100% of C, if A owned 100% of B and B owned 100% of C, and both these companies were in the UK, yeah, A could transfer losses to C, and C could transfer basically A and C can have a relationship, but B cannot receive any of these and cannot claim any losses because it is not resident in the country. So the argument here. Okay, great. Let's carry on. Okay, great. So this is an example here trying to define, and this will be the first video. This is trying to define what a group, who's in the group and who's not in the group. So let's look at this here. First of all, Neptune and Earth, 70%. So no, not in the group. It's not 75%. So Earth is not in this loss. So Earth cannot receive or claim losses between itself and Neptune. Neptune can do so between itself and Saturn because it's a 90% relationship. So you have, and Saturn owns Jupiter, so the effective relationship between Neptune and Jupiter is 90%, because you have 90 times 100. So there is a relationship there. So this Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune can be part of the same group. There is an effective greater than 75 greater than 75% between Neptune and Jupiter. Let's look at Mercury. Yes, Mercury can also be part of this group because there's an 80% thing going on here. But if you look at this 80 and 90, so effectively Neptune and Venus have a 80 times 90, which takes us to 72%. So there is not an effective ownership between Neptune and Venus. So they cannot be part of this larger group. Mercury could be part of the group, so they could share, because at least Mercury has so they could be part of the same trading group, but not be part of the bigger group. So let's look at, I think that's kind of the first point, really. So we were just trying to understand what these relationships are. I think it says here, assume the Saturn is Saturn Inc. So it's overseas. Companies form a loss relief group, and between each company. So Neptune can still have a relationship with Jupiter, even this was Inc. But the situation is that nothing can be given to Saturn, and Saturn cannot claim anything, right? So I'll send you this. Of course, you have this document, so you can play with this on to understand clearly this question of the effective interest of 75%. Yeah, cool, great stuff. So that's the end of the first video, and in the next video we'll talk about the actual mechanism of loss relief and what losses can be relieved between these different companies.